Those were three tough acts to follow, I might say. I'm going to talk about nature in a generalized way. Our connection to nature is very powerful. I mean, we know scientifically that we're healthier, happier, and better people when we have a strong connection to nature. And historically, I haven't figured out a way to figure out how much of the art around the world really has a focus on nature and people in nature. But I think it's an incredibly high amount. So because of that, people have, in some cities, like New York City, we have created nature where there was no nature because it's so important to be connected to nature. And a lot of what we're doing now is seeing if we can bring nature and green energy into highly dense communities. On the left here is Lynn Canyon, and on the right is the mountain above the Squamish Chief. And we sometimes build amazing infrastructure just to be able to get to nature. And in other cases, this isn't necessarily Christopher Alexander who designed this, but the idea of a lot of times the lines are blurred between nature and the built form. And I think our love for nature is embedded in so much of our life. Those of us who live in maybe tiny apartments or houses sometimes have to miniaturize our nature so that it'll fit within our lifestyles that we choose. And this is a Bonsai Garden in North Vancouver, and people do that, include nature in so many different ways. On the philanthropic side, this is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Seattle. And even so much of the philanthropic work that happens around the world is to improve nature, so we have clean water. My love of nature is really expressed by how I see my grandkids in nature. They would much rather climb the trees than play on the play structure. They would much rather walk off the paths in the gardens and pick the flowers than be on the path. So this led me to understanding how we could really bring nature more into our urban environments. And this is Habitat Island at Southeast False Creek, and a collective decision was made. Can we bring nature really into an urban environment, and will it work? The Southeast False Creek project is a pilot project to see if it will work. And people flock to it because it is a different character than a lot of the parks in Vancouver. And they appreciate it in different ways than they appreciate some parks. And what it does is it attracts all kinds of people. It's a truly public place because the homeless like it there, the people that drink beer like it there, and they express themselves in many different ways within the park. One of the other things that has happened is that the aquatic life has changed in the creek. And herring have come back for the first time in 80 years, and followed by twice by a gray whale. And the bird habitat has dramatically changed as well. And they are continually tracking the new species that are following there. So this park and this area is just a wedge of nature that is really trying to connect the city back to the important oceans. And it's also overlaid with a variety of systems such as stormwater, habitat, and wildlife. And the wetland here collects all the stormwater from the streets, and it's continually recycled, and it's cleansed before it goes into the ocean. And even you can see even the beach ball is in there. So even the nature still attracts a lot of us and the children on the on the playful side. So it has a very different character, and because of that, it's a challenge, I think, for the Parks Board to take care of it because it is a different type of park. So it's still a challenge to figure out how do we take care of nature in the city. But the play structures, the compound play structures are rarely touched, and the kids end up in the mud, in the sand, in the water, in the dirt, and that's what they really embrace. And that's really interesting to see. And when I tour people around, the kids always say they love the fact that the trails are dead end and they end in nature. And habitat and wildlife and birds ended up here in the park long before the public even, or the park even opened. And sticklebacks were found in the creek. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Beaver live there. This is just the other week, and they have built a giant lodge. They have 132 followers on Twitter, which is significantly more than I have, I might add. So the Parks Board has decided to keep it there and just see how it's going to work. So the nature has impacted people in this neighborhood, but actually it's also impacted a lot of the indicator species, and the indicator species have come back to this area when they haven't been here for a long time. So I think that that's really important. So Richmond is now starting on their new love of nature adventure at Garden City Lands, and I think that in the future there'll be amazing stories that they will tell, and probably have a new definition of nature in Richmond. Thank you.